I've been meaning to tell the story of Thanksgiving 1966 with Gary Mosteller and I riding our motorcycles up to Newfound Gap. It just happened to be the top of a mountain. We didn't know a name. And when we started out, it had been sort of a rainy day, and the rain seemed to let up, and so we went ahead and took off on our motorcycles. I had a 106cc, and I forget what Gary had, probably something commensurate. And as we went up Highway 19 past Dahlonega and into North Carolina, it started raining on us again. And so by the time we got to Newfound Gap, our clothes and everything were wet. I think we both wore army coats, army surplus coats. And anyway, it stopped raining, and we were able to start a fire at our little campsite. There was no big parking lot like there is now at Newfound Gap. It was just an open field. So we set up our tent, started a fire, and Gary put his boots out by the fire for them to dry off, and just left them out there. And when we went to sleep in the tent, we shared a tent. And when we woke up in the morning, it was raining, and he went out to look after his boots and discovered that they were all melted. So it was Thanksgiving Day. It was cold, wet, just miserable, cold rain. And so I took off on my motorcycle down to Gatlinburg, which was 15 miles away, to look for a pair of boots. Man, I wasn't expecting anything, but by a miracle, there was a general store that was open, just a mom and pop store, and they had some footwear. They had some boots. They were kind of rubbery boots. They might have been a size or two bigger than what Gary was wearing, but I went ahead and got those so that he could get home, with some shoes. And by the time I got back, I was wet, miserable, and the only thing I could think about was crawling inside a warm tent. And when I reached our campsite, I was horrified to see that the tent was taken down. Gary had rolled himself up like a burrito. And so I was like, Gary, what are you thinking, man? He said I was cold. That was the only way I could get warm. So we sort of hightailed it back down to Gatlinburg with all our wet gear. And there was a hotel, an old hotel. We had no money, or very little money, just enough to get home, to pay for gas. And so we told the hotel people that we would wire home for money to pay for the room. So we got a room, and I got first dibs on the bath. I took a hot bath, and it was just the most wonderful bath I've ever taken. And we got all dried off, and we went for a ride up near the ski area in Gatlinburg. And anyway, that's the story. We had a sort of a happy ending of what started out a wet, miserable day that morning. So Gary passed away 3 years ago, and we kind of lost touch with each other after high school, like so many other people. And yeah, I regret that we didn't have a chance to laugh about this particular incident, and I hope I got my facts straight. And if you hear me huffing and puffing, it's because I'm out here climbing a big hill on the Appalachian Trail. But Newfound Gap, yeah, always makes me think of Gary. And that's the reason for me dedicating the video that ended at Newfound Gap. I dedicated that to Gary. Newfound Gap was a big disappointment. It was congested, and rides to Gatlinburg were an outrageous $90 by shuttle. Gatlinburg hotels were charging 3 times the normal rate. So I decided to skip Gatlinburg and hike straight on through the park. A section hiker from Mobile, Alabama was a lifesaver. He gave me all his food. With limited battery power, I ventured onward into the remainder of the park.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes.
The next shelter was at Icewater Spring. At Icewater Spring, I set up my hammock next to another hammock that was occupied by Ken Evans from Canton, North Carolina. People awakened to a beautiful sunrise the next morning. Hello friends, it is Sunday, May 2nd, 7:45 in the morning. I'm packed up and I'm leaving Icewater Spring Shelter. I've got some 12 miles to go today, assuming that I skip one shelter to reach the second, with a plan to do 15 tomorrow, 15 miles, due to a shelter being shut down because of bears. So it's a beautiful day. I'm in my short sleeve shirt, but it really feels like long sleeve weather. We had a killer sunrise this morning. I was able to get some pictures. I was the first up in the campground, and with all the ruckus I was making, everybody woke up and started taking pictures. So let's see. So as you know, I skipped Gatlinburg, running very low on battery. So I'm going to have to be judicious about taking videos, photos, and I certainly won't be using much of internet access until I reach civilization, some 28 miles from here. So, and that would be either Standing Bear Hostel or a friend picking me up, and I'll do a story on him later. So I think that's about it for It was a cold night, but I stayed fairly warm under the quilt, and I got smart this time and wore my wool long johns. And so yeah, and the wind wasn't bad at all. Gosh, we got our wish last night. If we could only have a night in the Smokies without wind. So, okay, that's it for now. I'll check back with you later. I am at the famous Charlie's Knob, and it's a really nice view up here, which we can see far off. I think someone said that was Sevierville in the distance. I'm sure you can't tell from here. We see a river in the far distance over in this direction, probably the Pigeon River. There's a nice shot of a hiker taking her glorious picture. So we only have about 11 more miles, maybe 10 and a half to go from here to reach Tri-corner Shelter. We're hoping that the day remains clear. It's supposed to rain tonight and tomorrow. So that could make a 15-mile hike tomorrow a very interesting endeavor.
There's no one like you, my little girl. Your eyes so blue under those brown curls. Soon you're on your way, promise me that you know the world is yours. Strike them with your glow. Go on now, be good, be fine. Live your life, dream big, don't forget to be kind. Live, it's your life.
If more of the trail was like this, oh my gosh, it would be great. Downhill on pine straw. Doesn't get better than that. But most of the time it's rocky. With either steep descents or steep ascents. But we will take this section and relish it. Boy, this is a much needed water source, but look at how little it trickles right off that leaf there. Man, that's going to take forever to fill up a couple liters, but I don't know if I have a choice. I'll have to check Gut Hook to see if there's another one further ahead. Hey, you're hiking through bear country. There was a bear sighted behind me, and the shelter was, well, let's see, the story with that one is that the bear almost accosted a family that is through hiking the Appalachian Trail, and that was back a ways, I'm saying 10 or 15 miles. At either Derek's Knob or there was another shelter, Spence something. Now up ahead, there's a shelter that is shut down because someone had food in their tent and the bear ripped the tent open with the person inside the tent, from what I understand. That's hearsay, so don't quote me on that. Well, anyway, the Park Service shut that Cosby Knob shelter down, which creates a hardship for guys like me because we have to stay at shelters or designated campsites. And so between Tri-corner Knob, which I'm going to now, and Davenport Gap, which is the next shelter after Cosby, we're talking 15 miles. So I'm not a happy camper having to go 15 miles in rain tomorrow, no less. It's supposed to be thunderstorms. So we'll see how that all works out. Maybe my umbrella will have some utility for the first time. I have arrived at Tri-corner Shelter area, and lots of people here. It's like Tent City down the hill there. They made you climb a hill to get up to the turnoff. Someone's got a tarp just like mine, different color. Oh, so I have to get busy and decide where to set up my hammock. It looks like there are several hammocks in the area. That could be a war bonnet. And we've got the shelter itself is down the walkway here. Not that I'm interested in staying there, but I typically like to cook on the table they provide. And I see a privy with a door. What a luxury. And wow, it looks like it's all decked out. Man, this is something else. Not going to stay in the shelter tonight, even if I could. So for me, it's going to be Hammock City down below here. And I thought I saw some trees that are suitable while walking in. So I'll get set up and give you one last shout before I go to bed. This is my home for the night. Got my tarp set up real close to the ground. On this side, I'm on a steep hill. A tent could never be set up here. And on the other side, you got to be careful not to roll down the hill. And inside, this is what my little domain looks like. Got the bug net up right now. So it's kind of nicely snugged in inside the tarp on that side, and on the other side I've got the two tabs pulled out a little bit. You can see with the yellow line there's kind of a jury rig. I wish I had two lines instead of just one pulling on that, but it helps. It pulls the tarp out and gives it more room inside. So that's my little home for the night. We're expecting rain. It's going to rain tonight and all day tomorrow. So that's going to suck because we have to hike 15 miles to get to Davenport Shelter. So that's going to wrap it up for today. And hope everybody is doing well. It's dinner time for me, and I'm going to have to find a jacket because it's starting to get cold. All right, later. It's Monday, May 3rd. It's about 6:45 or so in the morning. I'm packing up my gear. It's raining and windy, and we have a big day ahead. 15 miles because of Cosby Shelter being shut down. We've got to skip it and get to Davenport Shelter. So I am at the shelter, the Tri-corner shelter, and getting ready to head out. Thought about sitting this one out, but seeing a guy leave at 5:30 in the morning has inspired me to just go for it. From this point on, from the top of Mount Camera, it is all downhill almost to Davenport Shelter and to Davenport Gap. No more big climbs in the Smokies. Can't tell you how happy that makes me.
Going to keep him out.
I
No.
know.
He's an acrobat.
He won't want to hang out with us.
It is Tuesday, May 4th. I am packed up and on the trail with a little over 3 miles, I think, or maybe under 3 miles to reach the road I want to reach. It is threatening to thunderstorm. I'll hear rumbles of thunder every minute or so. And the ground is wet. Apparently it has been raining a little bit overnight. And I had a nice evening in my hammock on this very steep hill. Let me see if I can, I don't know if you, gosh, the lighting is so bad you can barely tell that there are hills here, but I'm guessing it's about a 50-degree angle. It was the kind of slope that if a bag started rolling, you have a long way to go to chase it down. This is the end of the Smoky Mountains, I'm happy to say. Mainly for the milestone, but secondarily I will enjoy increased freedom in leaving the park. Will no longer be confined to designated shelter areas, which proved to be unpleasant at times. There's just way too many people crammed into these shelters. I guess this means that we are through with the Smoky Mountain National Park. And goodness gracious, do they even collect these things? Okay, we're just going to leave it there.